we're going to go over installation, getting into prompts and getting into Python. In the last video that I did, I worked on showing you how to use, okay, this is actually, I've got my poker thing set up over here. This is the interface code for that. This is like my prowl master project, and then I use this project to sort of update the GitHub, which, by the way, I did fix this issue. This issue right here is now done for. So the one token bug, you can now make. Here's my my example of that. I changed the Godel prompt to use one token on. Will be that and give it some more room. Oh, and Alt Z again. I keep forgetting about that. Okay, so I changed the Godel prompt to get the to get it to just use one token, so that it'll just output a yes or a no. Now, the thing about this is that we're actually, we're just testing this on the command line, right? Let's try a different one. Let's try one that's like, oh, for those of you who have not caught up from the other video or something like this, the Godel prompt is, it's just a little prompt that I did based off of the idea that you can you can name drop inside of your prompts to get better performance for the type of thing that you're trying to do. So if you're trying to do something with logic, you can name drop Godel, and that guy's a logician, mathematician, very famous, and he's like responsible for quite a lot of things. I think he was an inventor and everything along those lines. Don't quote me on that. And then the idea is that Godel sort of moves the LLMs into some sort of a more structured space when it comes to reasoning, where it has text about reasoning, so to speak, and then that text's conditioning and styles sort of inside of the training data for this thing, it makes it so that it behaves better. I did some examples before on my other video. I could also link to that maybe at the end of this video or something like that for those of you who missed it. And yeah, so let's just try real quick on the command line, and then we'll get into some Python stuff, and we'll get into how variables and the return, like the result structure, basically actually work from calling prowl. And then we can get into some more prompting fun. Like we can actually make some structures around our prompt. And let's see, what else do I have in here? So prompts, how temperature works over prompt, how conditioning and response cleaning works. Oh, we'll go into this cool example of my voice notes. So I added this example yesterday. Doing Cliff Notes summarized speech to text on any audio file. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. So what this is you've got a prompt that is also linked here on the GitHub, and the prompt is it's just a Cliff Notes prompt. And in fact, if I just go over here, you can see it. It's a very simple prompt. It just says, summarization, write the Cliff Notes for the following, and then your input is just called text, and then you have the Cliff Notes summary, write the brief and concise summary about the above, structure your summary correctly with markdown headers, lists, and tables. So the idea of this prompt is also something along the lines of using a name drop to, and this is something that I built, this is a prompt that I actually use in production. And I've used it for this whole technique for summarization of long text, of large text. There's other techniques that I use along with that. Things that basically this does a tree summarization. So it sort of summarizes blocks and then further summarizes those and sort of distills your summary down into something that's a little bit more fits inside the context window. So we've got our Cliff Notes summary. And then that, okay, so that feeds back to, so what we're doing here is so I do voice notes a lot, and I didn't do voice notes so much before, and then I started getting into it because I was like, oh, voice notes really make, when I'm trying to like talk out something, and there's nobody to listen to me, and it's about an idea that's just like some project in my head or whatever. I like to just ramble on about it in voice notes instead of trying to create structured notes in a text file, because I think those are two different tasks, right? One of the tasks is doing your voice notes as like actually. So one of the tasks is like just straight up freestyling off of your brain, right? Off a little LLM in your brain to try and find the next word that represents what you're thinking about, your concepts. But the interesting thing is that like the secondary task is like when you're writing notes is like how do I organize that notes? And it's even a little bit harder on a computer, right? Because on a computer you have to also use the keyboard with your hands, and then you have all these, usually that stuff is sort of like abstracted away because if you have experience typing on a keyboard. But essentially what happens is you got like, me sitting there rambling, and it's much faster if I can just ramble out the words, right? Even though I'm not talking to anybody, I'm still, it still feels like I'm like talking. And then what I do is I just feed that into, what I had to do before was I had to sit there and listen to my like 20, 30 minutes of rambling to remember stuff that I wanted to use. And that was for like months. And then all of a sudden I realized, oh shit, I should just be using LLMs to do the summarization stuff. So I should just be taking my input audio, using OpenAI's Whisper. Whisper, by the way, is a local model. It downloads onto your computer. I'm using the small version, I think. Or the base model, and then I just have it transcribe my input audio. It prints out, and then it says like, and then right here, what I do is I do like a little prowl stack call, and I pop in the digest prompt, the digest folder, and inside of that folder is my some cliffs prompt, and that's it. And then I make sure that the text is like coming from here. Which is the text that comes out of the transcription from Whisper, and then it just prints the output back to the console. So while it doesn't seem like a lot of code, what it actually does is this little tiny setup allows me to now take my 30 minutes of voice audio and turn them into a summary. So I think I've set up a couple of things here to. Okay. The other thing is it takes any format. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick those into a folder somewhere, and then I'm going to just go ahead and let's run this and let's see what's going on, right? Okay. So let's see. Oh, down here on the okay, so yeah, it wasn't really anything super special that I wanted to show with the Gödel prompt. That wasn't already talked about yesterday. But this is essentially what I get out of it is now that you can just use one token, it outputs those things. So I'm not going to be playing with the Gödel prompts right now. So let's go ahead and that down a little bit. Look, get at that. Or blah blah blah. Let's make a quick. Where's my test? Do I have it? Oh, I have. Okay, my examples folder. Okay, so in my examples folder, I got some interesting stuff in there, like aggregate summary. This was the beginning of adventure mode. How I was like going in and trying to set that up. By the way, using prowl, you can use, you can chain together scripts, right? You can stack them on top of each other, but then you can also use these stack runs inside of other logic in Python, which is what we're going to be getting into. And that's really cool because that allows you to make some pretty complex things, and you can actually just sort of chain your logic along in such a way that you're writing a fully consistent, you can write essentially a fully consistent novel or book, like at the very beginning in inventor mode, right? The idea with AI is not to just, so at least this is my philosophy on how to use it in a way that is like actually a tool for people who are in roles already, right? If you're a person who's making fantasy worlds or something like that, it would be best for you to have a tool that just, instead of writing the whole fantasy world for you, something that would be pretty banal and mundane, even though you could get it, you could prompt it really well and stuff like that in the very beginning. If you just had like a one-shot prompt, like write me a fantasy book about this, that, and that, you're gonna get the most mundane stuff that you ever asked for, right? But if you write a prompt at the beginning, and you just let it, like let's say you had an infinite context and it could just go, right? This is what essentially Claude and Anthropic and all those guys are trying to do with their long context. The problem is, though, is that if you don't have input that goes along the way to guide the LLM, to condition it so that it's outputting something that you actually want, instead of just going off randomly on all of these like weird, essentially dreams of what could be, then you need to have continuous input that's going along with it, right? And this is why the chat format is so good, because the chat format allows human input, and that makes it so that everything that the LLM is saying in the conversation, since it sees the history, is going to be more unique based off of the human input. Since if you just didn't have human input, it would only be pulling from its training data, which means that it would be going over patterns which it kind of like has already learned, already knows. Meaning that you're going to end up with some very samey sounding stuff. If you've ever used Lorekeeper and you've asked it to make you a fantasy world, then most likely you've had something that's been called Eldoria as a location. And I think maybe, Jane, you know what I'm talking about here. Eldoria is like it's a bane on the on the generative AI world, because and if you ever see, by the way, like somebody who releases a game or a book or whatever, and there's some place in there called Eldoria, well, that's a telltale sign that it was written in part, or part of the ideas from that came from an AI, because Eldoria is high up in the bias. I don't think there was quite enough training text for these models for doing fantasy RPGs and stuff, so it has kind of like a low resolution in there, let's just say. Anyway, so okay, let's move on. I think I've just rambled on enough. By the way, I also have this project called MemeCat, which is, in fact, I'll just show that real quick. MemeCat. This is on my personal GitHub. Prowl is on my professional GitHub, by the way, if you look at my links in YouTube or Twitch, off my profiles. But MemeCat is a tool that will make you memes. Like if you go to my shorts, you can see on my shorts I use them because people mouse over shorts or whatever, and they see it, and then let's see, geez, okay, my shorts. So on my shorts, it's like it's where I'm talking to Moshi. I'm sorry. Does that word offend you? Would you? No, I don't mind. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay. Whoa. That was weird. Ah, okay, I guess it's like a tab thing. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get into this Cliff Notes thing. I've got some audio files. In fact, I have this whole, that would be perfect actually. I think I'm gonna use the MemeCat audio file to feed into this. And so if I go over here, and then I go to, oh, sorry, you guys will just see me like moving my mouse around. I'm doing stuff behind all these windows. So just give me one moment and I will get it out. So I just need to move my files over into examples, pop it into a folder named data. MemeCat M4A. Okay, so now I should see, oh, there we go. There's my data, there's my MemeCat. All right. Okay, so let's take my MemeCat. Okay, sorry, yeah. Okay, thank you. So let's open up our examples folder. And make something here. And we can have this saved back out to like a, instead of just printing out, we'll just have it saved back out to a, also call me lazy, I don't care. Less typing equals more efficiency. Although, you know, typing doesn't, reading doesn't take as long as typing, so always read. And let's just make a new here. Voice notes. And we'll slap in recording a whisper. We got our stack. We got that doing RSS out, but let's just do that instead. Let's make it go to, so we're going to do data examples data at.m4a, and then we're going to make async IO run. Okay, that's all well and good. Let me just like make this a little bit nicer. C. Oh, geez. Oh, right. Yeah, that was correct. Thank you. Okay. So, yeah, okay. Now, what do we want to do? We want to output this to, with the open example examples data memecat.md in W plus mode as FP, our file pointer, FP write RRS dot. Do I have cliffs out? Oh, what was I? Oh, yeah, RSS dot out. Okay. So yeah, the dot out. So okay, this is what's really happening. When I go RSS, so RSS is my return. Just rename this to a result. So my result that comes out of running prowl stack is going to be, so let's just take a look at result real quick. So we have result.completion, result.data, result.get, result.out, and then these other two are very important. You can do results to dict, and then val and var, okay? So I don't know how many of you remember jQuery. I'm not going to tell a long story here. It's just a couple sentences. So jQuery is like an older framework for JavaScript that sort of like introduced pretty much like modern CSS selectors. If I just said a whole bunch of stuff that went over your head, that's fine. Because all I'm trying to say is that I've sort of used that as an example on how I should format these results. So for instance, if I say val, then I can just give it a key of a variable, and it will give me back the value from the result. So if what was that? Summary. Okay, so this variable is called summary. So if I just say result val summary, okay, so instead of just doing the result, so result out, what that will do is that will create, so I have this PR out file, and it's just outputting directly the summary. So it's like, I don't know, call me crazy. All right, so we could just do a result out like that, or we could do summary. In fact, in most cases, you're probably just going to want the value of some variable, right? But if you want the entire variable, sumvar equals result dot var summary, okay? And then sumvar is now a prowl variable. So sumvar has its own, it has data, it has a history, and you can get its history. So the history of a variable in promptowl, there's two different things, right? So you've got a list, and then you've got a history. What are those? Well, inside of let's just go over here. Okay, so this is the variable class, and this may be too deep for some of you who are just trying to use this for prompting, but I feel that it's important because if you're using this for inside of Python, you really need to know this information. Prowl automatically takes your list, like anything that is listed, which is why you'll see me in my prompts asking it for lists so much. Anything that is listed either numerically or just like a bullet list, those things will be output in such a way that they are actually a Python list without the bullet point or number in front of them. So that means that you don't have to like, take lists and try to do, so like one of the biggest ideas of prowl is that I don't want to be, I don't want to be doing all this extra work after I get my data back from the LLM. I just want everything clean so that I can just work with it in my Python, right? I don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to use a regex to blah, blah, blah. No. Who needs the headache? And I'm sure, of course, I could have ChatGPT write me a regex to a regular expression to like get the information from outside of my single monolithic prompt result. But that is just, that would be the same thing as going like, the result completion. The result completion is essentially the prompt as the bird flies. So that's like just taking everything that I've written and everything that the LLM's written together, mashing it all in one thing, and then there you go, right? And that's kind of like what the output from these other ones are, or essentially just like you get the last part of it that you didn't author, that the LLM authored. So that's also a major difference, and it makes it so that we can do, if I'm expecting the result var summary to be a list, then I can do some var list, and I'll get back the Python list. Okay, if I want to do, if I use the variable summary multiple times in my code, what happens? Well, it goes into the history. So each variable has its own history, which holds all of the, so it pushes a self copy of the variable itself to the history. So it holds the entire variable, which means inside of the history, each time that you call this variable in a stack, if it gets rewritten over, you can still access all of the older stuff that was generated. So all of the values that were ever generated for that variable in your entire stack, which for me is very important because, you know, if I do need to use the same variable in the same stack or whatever, then in different ways, then I can take advantage of this whole history thing, and I can, you know, as the variable's getting filled out, I can have that ported to different things or have it used to different places within the prompt itself. And, you know, it'll keep just sort of spitting me that out. And then at the end, I can get back out using this, the hist function. It'll just pop me back out a list. Fancy that. So that'll be a list of all of the values. Now, the only other thing that is really kind of important here that I wanted to mention with this is that you've got data. So also, by the way, you can access any data, right? Any data. So data is any type of thing. And you can access any data that comes out. Like, let's say that we were to run this script over here, where at the end we do blah, 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 blah. Where at the end we use the comfy tool. Well, if you use a tool, which we'll be getting into that, if you use a tool, then the tool will always output something back to data if it doesn't output it back to just the prompt itself. So the interesting thing about tools is that they can output back here. So you can separately from what they output into the variable data, which means that like I can use that data to store the actual image from comfy. So, you know, and the other thing is that like if I used this, I could be like, okay, like comfy data equals result data comfy. Because when you use a tool, it's also within the same namespace as the variables when you get your results. So the name of the tool is actually the name of the variable, which you'll be getting. And this is also a good way to use the history to pop the data back out from, you know, like let's say I had to call comfy multiple times for different images. Well, each of those images would be stored in the data in the history of the comfy variable. I hope that makes a little bit of sense, and we can see some examples later. So let's just continue on with this part of it, right? So we've got the summary, we got all that stuff, everything's all set up. Let's run our script. Let's see the magic. See the magic happen. And I'm saved it to a markdown file so that I could just like view it in the markdown viewer or something like this. I think there's a markdown viewer in here. I don't know if I got one or not. Python examples voice notes. Py. And let's see it run. Okay. Okay. I mean, there's just a thing with torch. It's probably because this is the first time I've ran it, so it's going to be explicitly allowed listener torch serialization where you recommend you start setting weights only equals true. Have full control loaded file. Please issue on GitHub if any is related to the experimental feature. It's a future warning. Okay, so I don't have to worry about it. I think it's actually loading the torch model. I could be wrong. I mean, definitely NVTop says it is. Okay. You know, I'll just let you run. I'll let you do your thing. Okay. Cool. Cool, it ran. All right. Whoa. Did I get the output? Did I get the MD file? Oh. Did it not? Oh, snap. Okay. I see what I did. think I see what I did. Oh, what? Hold on. Hold on a moment. I'm not sure what's going on here. Let's see. Let's call this transcribed. And let's go ahead and say down here real quick. Just to save us the moment. This is all the stuff I said in that long ass thing. First thing and all. Okay, okay. FFM bacon. Okay. All right. Wow. That is a lot of talking. You know? I just can't be, it's sometimes, okay, like I already have to go over all of my video, right? I'm actually going to be working on this for MemeCat. I'm going to try and make it so that like I can do quite a lot of video editing just automatically using. Okay, I mean, this should run. Maybe I'll just do. Okay. I mean, it's still probably not like great, but whatever. And then I'm just going to comment this out real quick. Maybe I don't need to do prowl lib stack. I just need to stack. Because this is, I don't know. This I have to change this because it's my examples. Oh, okay, there it worked. Yeah, I just had the wrong pointing thing, but that's just because my my whole I'm not using the actual prowl meme CAD. Well, okay. FFM bacon. It's FFM peg and meme CAD. FFM bacon. Oh my gosh. Maybe we can just run Whisper again real quick and see if it comes up with something else. All right, let's let her run through. Yes, yes, tell me things. And now it's gonna go. Cool. Meanwhile, while it's doing that, I'm gonna check and see if anybody is trying to say anything on YouTube. Hey, Krishna Khan. Hey, bro. Hey. I'm working on showing a prompt owl. Sorry about the delay. Just haven't had the window open. All right, so let me just go ahead and pop this like that on top so that guy is there. Okay. All right, so let's see. So I'm showing Okay. Okay. Modern bird. Oh, modern Bert. Okay, this is modern Bert. KDEN live. I like how I tried to put those little things on it. Let's go over to our data here, and we should just see the MD file. Oh, why is it? Oh, maybe. Okay. Maybe that's the jam. Maybe it's just like weirded out because of that. Preview. Okay, sweet. FFM Bacon and MemeCAD. Yeah, FFM Bacon and MemeCAD. So obviously, like, it's not perfect, and I also don't speak perfectly enough for these things. But we can just obviously say find FFM Bacon and FFmpeg. We'll replace the two things. MemeCAD, almost got it. Replace that with MemeCat. Okay. So you can see that it took all of my voice notes and I think that was that file. How long was that freaking? 26-minute voice notes file. And with things, there's a lot of ums and all kinds of shit. There's me cursing. Because, when I talk, I don't know, just talk normally, you've heard me. So, okay, MemeCat components, buckets, a set of semantically tagged items with text, time, and effect information. Triggered by semantic lookup or time, can include color changes, font styles, and image overlays, matches words or phrases in the subtitle to semantic tags, semantic or time-based triggers. Dude, this is perfect. I'd have to actually put the proper link into Modern Bird. Oh, Modern Bird. Let me just let me do that one too. Oh, it's only once. Okay, fine. Okay, so each entry in the bucket has text, effect, time, triggers, semantic triggers. Time trigger applies it based off the playhead position. Effects, colors, the colors of the specific words or phrases. Change the font style of specific words or phrases. Add images to the video at specific times. Yes. Example usage, semantic trigger. Saying President Trump triggers the effect of displaying the word president in red and Trump in red. Time trigger, saying president at a specific time displays an image of a president. Implement CSS-like selectors for text effects. Add randomization and variants to sound effects. Use HTML5 canvas for animations and image overlays. I mean, yeah. Yeah. That's the balls. There, that is the balls. All right. FFmpeg and MemeCat. It's really funny because I think I did mention Kden Live in there somewhere, but it was really like, it wasn't really that important, so it just got left out. But this is essentially, like what I wanted. Sweet. Now I can just send that over to, I can send that over to my friend who is like, this is what I want to do with the MemeCat, by the way. And that one is it's a thing that can automatically do your subtitles. I think I showed it earlier in the video. All right, so moving along. So now you've kind of seen like what we can do with what we can do there in our just like our simple augmented voice notes thing. Maybe I could let's do latent imagination. see if I actually speak more clearly here. All right. Let's doober. Oh, it's already on the summary. Was that one not so long? Oh yeah, it was pretty short. Pretty short. Okay, sweet. Okay, so this one is set. So, okay, latent concept model for image generation. Oh yeah, this was such a short little one. Okay, so there. Let's see. Give me that preview. Oh, did it not? It didn't like the thing. Oh, mark, because it got the markdown in there. Yeah. All right. Okay. You know, obviously these are not perfect. There we go. Text discusses the creation of a latent concept model for image generation using fine-tuned models like CLIP or T5. The model's concepts are represented as vectors in the latent space. Two approaches to creating a latent concept model are creating a new model from the data or fine-tuning an existing latent concept model towards the CLIP space. The model's output can be used with various image generation techniques such as stable diffusion or models or LCMs with one-shot prompting. Involves using the vision model to generate thoughts or ideas, which are then used to output the final result. For instance, the output could be piped through a vision model that translates the thoughts to a visual representation. Create a new latent concept model for the data. So I was talking about using a SD123 or like Stable Diffusion Live or whatever for just like essentially using the idea of the latent concept model and having it like go through concepts at the latent state, at the latent level, and then have those latents map to a latent space of like a VAE for image generation for like Flux or whatever, or SD video, or the SD Live or some sort of LCM or something like this, and then have that. Oh, by the way, an LCM is a latent concept model, but an LCM is also geez, I forget what they're called in image diffusion, but there's two different types of LCMs, so that's confusing. All right, so okay, moving on. That seemed to work really well. Let's do one. So this idea of just using the name drops, Girdle, Cliff's Notes, etc. I've been using that one as like a technique for basically since the beginning of working on Lorekeeper 19 months ago. Okay, next thing, moving on. Let's take a look at what we got over here. So we've gone through variables and return. We didn't do lists, data from tools. You guys want to see some? You want to see some comfy? Making it use comfy. We can go over how temperature works over a prompt, how conditioning and response cleaning works. I gave you the whisper example already. Let me just check that off with Cliff's Notes. Some rapid prototyping of prompts, generating image prompts, the team builder prompt. Oh, team builder prompt is cool. So you might have also seen one of my other videos about Grifty. It's the CEO the CEO agent for 2025. Replace your billionaire CEO with an agent. The one thing that the billionaire CEOs would not try to sell you is a replacement for them that can smooth talk and lie as well as they can. So let's see. Voice notes, latent imagination, blah 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 blah. Okay, so where's our thing? Thought? Oh, meta. Yeah, because this is about. So this is on my meta agents kick. Because that just seems to be a fancy word. Oh, is it not in here? Is it not in here? Wait. Meta. There we go. So yeah, building a team, okay? And I was just running this through the command line, right? But I think what we could do is we could expand upon this, right? So we've got a team and then we've got a project. Project requirements, given the above, scope the requirements. And one of the things that you might notice here is that what I'm doing is instead of giving it the input directly, because I'm expecting to always use this in a chain where something gives input above that. So given the above, like I'm using this in a stack, I'm going to use the right word in prowl. I'm using this in prowl stack. So I'm going to run that stack in a certain order, and it's going to go first meta, and then it's going to go project. So the idea of this team building one is kind of almost the same idea of the meta agent. It's part of the meta agent's process, so to speak. And the idea is like, okay, given any type of thing that you want to make, any type of project that you want to do, that is probably listed above this, then you want to give it a, what's it called? You want it to be able to output for you something that is interesting, which would give you a team, right? And we want the team members, and we want checks and balances between the team. We want team dynamics. We want the goal of the team. We want its size. How many people or agents do we need, right? And from a very, like, if you just look at this from a very modular perspective, like not thinking about putting this prompt into any type of other system, then in and of itself, what it does is it's kind of like a team planning prompt, really. You know, so what do you need to consider when given what you want to do, right? And then these are kind of like the requirements for the team. What type of team is it going to be, its size, and everything like that. These set the stage later, and I set these in a very specific order because this has to do with conditioning. So in fact, we'll just go over, right, what happens when you change the order of things, right? Like if I were to say think critically after this, how would that change my output? And since I'm running all of these at 0 temperature, it's always going to give me the same output for the same input. Okay, that's the one thing that 0 temperature definitely on your variables, that's what it guarantees, is that this variable will always output the same thing. But if I were to say, like, make this a 0.1, then this randomness would change the outcome, like the butterfly effect of all of the stuff following it semantically. So we'll just keep all this at 0. This is a zeroed out 0 temperature script because we want it to be very specific. We want it to be correct as it can be, as the model could make it, and not introduce any randomness into that. So let's run this. Okay, so if we just do, right, okay, there's a couple of permutations on this. One is input project meta, and the other one is input just directly to meta. So we're just going to do input directly to meta and see it make a team for us. So let's just say I want to make a 30-minute traditional animation. Okay, so it's taking its consideration, doing its considerations. And you might notice that while it's doing this, we're going to run the other one where it sets up the project stuff first, like the goals of the project, the functional requirements of the project, and all that other stuff. But for now, we're just going to go with this just to see how it looks. Okay, total of 2,000. So we're still well within the context window of Mistral, which is 4096 tokens. In our prompt, right? So this is what's actually in the prompt. And by the way, this is aggregate. So it's adding up all of the tokens that went into the prompt. Like there's not actually 2,000 something tokens. It's just that those are the tokens that were actually input into the system. It took 31 seconds to complete. And the completion tokens, there was actually only 652 tokens generated. So let's take a look. This is the output. Oh, this is a completion prompt. Okay, so this is how it actually, so like I said, in the completion, this is kind of like how the bird flies, right? It's going to fill this out, and it's going to see that, you know, it's going to fill stuff out, like filled this out, and then it's going to see that later because that becomes part of the prompt for this, and then collaborative becomes part of the prompt for the rest of this. Each thing just sort of, you know, you just imagine a cursor going down this, filling out the shit, and then, you know, everything that's above it goes back into it for the next variable. All right, so team size 5, create a 30-minute traditional animation. That's the goal. Collaborative team. I don't need to read the critical thoughts, I think. Let's just go through the team dynamics. Write a single paragraph description of the team dynamics. Succeeding at creating a 30-minute traditional animation, the team must have a strong sense of collaboration and effective communication. The director will lead the project and ensure the team is working towards a unified vision. Animator, background artist, sound designer, and composer will each bring their unique skills to the project, working closely with one another to create a cohesive and engaging final product. Now, I specifically asked for unique skills and stuff. So you can see that some of it's just like restating what I said, and this is part of conditioning, right? This is part of the actual crux of the prompt situation, the prompting situation, and the way that LLMs understand things. And I like to say that it's writing style versus formatting versus meaning versus instruction. All of those things are collapsed into one thing. So if you try to tell it, so you can give it an instruction to write in a specific style, or you can just write in that style, and then in the variable, it's going to try to continue writing in that style. That's what continuation is about. And promptowl uses continuation, which means it's not using like a chat endpoint. It's not using, so for instance, currently as it sits, prowl couldn't actually use ChatGPT because ChatGPT is a chat endpoint and not a completion endpoint. Now, there are completion endpoints for OpenAI, which you can use, and prowl is compatible with VLLM, OLLAMA, LM Studio, Llama CPP, all those guys who have OpenAI compatible endpoints. So team type, okay. So let's keep going there. This is what, so checks and balances ensures the team is working towards. So essentially what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to, for instance, there's a lot of stuff I could do here. I could take the director and I could say, all right, let's go. So firstly, I could just create a very simple thing. Oh, let's see, is there, yeah, okay. Remember how I was talking about lists? This is a perfect example, right? It output a list here under the team members because I asked it to write a numbered list, right? And you can see here that it actually creates a Python list out of that. So director ensures the team is working towards a unified vision while the team members bring in a project, effective communication or collaboration between team members. So this is the list for the checks and balances. So you've got the actual value. So if I were to do just so that's all part of the history. So, I mean, you do get a lot of data back, and some of it's redundant, but that's fine because this is the information that you actually, this allows you to get everything that you need. Plus, it breaks down the actual tokens and everything like that for each of the specific variables and runs, and how long it took for each variable to fill out. So you can actually debug a lot of that stuff too. I know it's not pretty looking. I could have p-printed it, but that's, neither here nor there. No, too late for that. Sound designer and composer work together to create a okay. So, blah. But anyway, you see, it has lists, right? Team members. There we go. For sound designer. So this is the actual raw output, and then okay. So that's the user input, and then, geez, that's hard to read. All right, we'll just, you know what? We'll just. So this is essentially what we get out of this, right? The director, animator, background artist, sound designer, and composer. Now let's run the same thing, but in a different order. Let's run it using the other one with project first, okay? So project. Oh, you might wonder what these stops are. This is just a list of different stop sequences that they're like essentially their own little tokens. So if you see two return variables together, if you see one plus a pound because we're using Markdown, or if you just see 3 backticks because we might be doing code or whatever in this. Technically, that's not what we're doing here, but I just leave that as a standard when I'm running my stuff. Okay, so let's run it with the project. What did I say? I want to make a 30-minute traditional animation. Let me just copy that directly. All right, paste. So now it's going to go and say, now it's actually going to create a project overview. So it's doing that. And then the goals. I don't know why it said, oh yeah, time 30 minutes of animation, budget limited, resources limited. Okay. Okay, so this comes up with more information that I can use later on in prompts, right? Like, let's say that I included the project data within another as input to a prompt, because the nice thing is that I could just say, that not only can I chain things together, but using, I could just do this. Well, okay, let me not get sidetracked here. Okay, so it goes through the project constraints the functional requirements, and so drawing software tools, frame-by-frame animation software, script writing software, voice recording software, sound effects library, or tools. There's the non-functional requirements are high-quality visuals and animations, smooth and fluid motion between frames, clear and concise dialogue and sound effects, user-friendly interface for drawing animation software. Compatibility with various drawing and animation tools, ability to export final product in various formats, MP4, ABI. Cool. Considerations, 30-minute traditional animation core team consisting of a storyboard artist. Planning the character designers are responsible for drawing all the characters. The background artist is KKK. Team type, animation production team, 5 members, 30-minute traditional animation. Storyboard artist, character designer, background artist, animator, sound designer. Okay. So this left out the director because this is a 5-person team, right? And the actual, it thought out a couple of things first, right? The director, so director, animator, background, sound designer, composer. So instead of having the director there, it's actually saying, okay, that's actually a completely different role. There's this whole role for doing design. So let's see. Create storyboard and plan out the sequence of events. Design and draw all the characters. Create backgrounds and settings for each scene. Bring the character and backgrounds to life by animating each frame. Record the dialogue. Create the sound effects and add music. Okay. Regular check-ins and feedback sessions. Help ensure that each team member, sound designer, and animator will need to work together to ensure the sound effects and music enhance the animation and adds the overall production value. The background artist and animator will work together, will need to communicate effectively to ensure. So if you were thinking about something like Crew AI or something along those lines, where each of these agents are actually working for doing this job, right? You could have it so that there's, so like the next thing after this essentially is what I wanted to do is make a meta agent, which creates, which takes that team and then creates agents from them. But whether another like interesting direction that I went in is like real life projects, right? Where you don't actually have agents, but you're like, I want to do something. So like, for instance, like I want to make a concert event at the O2 Stadium in London. Yeah. And okay, sure. Project overview. Okay. Shepherd's bush. Okay, so it's trying to take this into a. Okay, let's just do. Let's go back to this. Okay. Event at O2 Arena, London. Must have a strong sense of collaboration and effective communication to ensure that each team member brings unique skills. Okay, oversees the entire. So, for instance, you might notice that I'm getting like a lot of team description is like kind of generic. And if we go over to the actual team description variable here, you'll see I say here. Write a single paragraph of the description's team dynamics required to succeed. And before that, it's like to make an integral team, right? So let's just see. To create a successful concert event, yeah, the considerations. At the O2 Arena has a core team consisting of the following members is essential, right? 5 to 7 members. So this was actually trying to output. So this is an example of where, okay, it stopped, not because it got the stopping token, but because it tried to do, it hit one of our stops that we listed. So it hit this right here, 2 return characters, which is fine. But you really want to watch out for that when you're prompting, because what ends up happening is like if you let dirty stuff get through, it will change the outcome of the rest of things, and it will change the formatting of things if you let that formatting, like just random ass formatting that it tries to do, get through. You know, the whole idea of prompt owl is to control very closely what is going on. Like for instance, with this one, I don't even think, you know, maybe we need 2 or 3, right? To try to keep the amounts of tokens per each variable very within their bounds. One of the other things, I probably don't mention this enough, but in order to actually get a single line variable, because this prompt owl does check the difference between single line variables and multi-line variables. So if it's an inline variable, then it has other stuff on the same line, which means it's never going to let it return something that's like multi-lines. And if it is a multi-line variable, what's happening is you've got an extra line here underneath it that's blank, and there's nothing else on the same line. All right, so now then, so looks like we're having a little bit of a problem with our considerations, right? Our considerations are saying, is essential, right? Write a paragraph that critically assessing what roles and interplay the team needs in order to make a successful and core integral team. So you can see that I'm sort of trying to get it to do a little bit of chain of thought here before it goes on to writing the rest of the things, because that chain of thought is going to, since it's going into the prompt, it's going to be affecting how the rest of the prompt works. All right, so if we run it like that, where's my laziness? Okay. Now let's look at the considerations. See, it does the same thing. Okay, so we couldn't affect it with just saying short. Okay. Okay, let's try it like this, the scope and reach of the project. Creating a concert event is a complex project that requires a team of professionals with diverse skills and expertise. Now, the reason it's talking about a team is because the first instruction, and this is very interesting. It's a very interesting thing about LLMs and the way that they pay attention to your documents or to your prompts. They will pay more attention to the first part and the last part, kind of like humans. And the stuff in the middle is less attention, and it has less recallability to such a precise degree. Complex project that requires a team of professionals, diverse skills, and expertise. The core team for this project would include, and it tries to do that. Okay. Think critically about the scope and reach necessary. Pull this off. Okay. Let's see. So we've got, I'm going to take a small water break here in a sec. But let's see. Okay, Jesus. So without just giving it that, you know, it's like, bam, it just starts popping out things. So you know what I'm thinking? Maybe this is redundant. Maybe it's not necessary, because we're already kind of making it think stuff out right here, right? And there's really not much to think about, so to speak, just yet. So let's just run it without it. Maybe we should put the team goal above the team size. Collaborative and dynamic group with clear communication, shared vision for the success of the concert event at O2 Arena, London. Bring their unique skills and expertise to the table, working to overcome challenges in a seamless event for the attendees. I mean, that's just kind of like boilerplate, drifty talk, right? Oversees all aspects of the event from planning to execution, develops and executes marketing strategies to promote the event, coordinates all technical aspects of the event, including sound, lighting, and staging. That's the production manager, the logistics coordinator, the security manager, the merchandise manager, the catering manager, the volunteer coordinator, the ticketing manager, and the graphic designer. Okay. And then obviously, if you really wanted to make this really happen, what we'd probably have to do is we'd probably have to go into each of these team members and say, okay, now make a team for this person, right? So let's just say, so first off, let's just see what happens if, can we change the team size if we change the team goal? Okay, so if we put goal above type and size, we make it state the goal first, right? Oh, let me just grab my, also, this is without a header. This is without anything like that. So there's like quite a lot that can be done to further make this better, but we're just kind of like starting out. Okay. Okay, well, that was, okay, yeah, team goal, 10 people. Unique skills and expertise, communicate, event manager, marketing manager, production manager, talent booker, okay. Talent booker, logistics coordinator, security manager, merchandise manager, catering manager, budget manager, volunteer coordinator, who's trained and manages volunteers. Okay, this makes a little bit more sense, I think. And event manager and marketing manager approves the marketing manager's promotional plans and budget. So the thing is, like, the reason I asked it to write checks and balances here is because if you have a team, right, the team is going to be communicating with each other. They're going to be talking with each other, and they're going to have responsibilities to each other, right? And so that means that each one is going to have, like, you know, checks on the other one and balances with the other ones. And so this gives me like a little bit of a graph that basically puts together like, okay, these are the ones that should be in continuous contact with each other. You know, logistics coordinator and security manager provides the security manager with information on the performer and crew travel arrangements to ensure proper security measures are in place. So essentially, like, I can just take this and then in my so let's say that I take this, all right? I make an agent for each one of these guys, okay? And then after that, I make an agent for each one of these, and they have their role and their description, okay? And then there's the context of what their overall reaching goal is, right? Then I could have a secondary script that says, okay, make the people who are underneath this person, right? So under each one, so let's just go do that, right? Because this is all about the whole. You'll start to notice that, like, okay, I've only showed you stuff right now where I'm just like kind of messing with things that I already put together. But I put these together in my own time the other day. It wasn't very hard. It was because essentially all I'm doing is just I'm thinking out a process in my mind, then writing it out in English, and then like giving it some variables so that I can get actionable information back. All right, so let's start setting up a Python script. But before that, I'm going to take a small little break. Just get some. I think I'm going to get some food. So what we'll do is we'll just call this a stream for now. What do you say? And I will be back. We'll do a second. We'll have a second go at this, and that's going to be probably around sometime in the next couple hours. And yeah, what we'll do is we'll just go over setting up a Python script around this, and just really getting it in there, getting it jammed in, getting it to work. I think that we could actually do it pretty well, and it would be a first attempt at creating a meta agent that creates other agents, right? An agent that can write you other agents that do things, and essentially this is an agent that can sort of write scripts. There's a couple of ideas. One of them is using schemas. I've used this idea in adventure mode, and the idea of a schema is that if you have like a thing, a type of entity or whatever, something like this, then you have the schema for that type, which says these are the properties of that thing, right? And then you have like a little automatic script writing thing that just takes all the properties and all that data, and then just writes a script in prowl to guarantee that there's it doesn't mess up in the actual writing of the script. And then after that, you're just essentially working with making a system that has even more control. So yeah, we'll get into all that stuff. I hope this was a good stream for all of you. Let me know if you have any questions or any comments. Please like, subscribe, ding the bell, all those things in the YouTube, and do the Twitch stuff if you're on Twitch. Love you all. Peace out.